Hi guys, and welcome back to World of Tanks with me, Antonow too. And today I'm coming up with another tank review. It's actually not a tank, but a tank destroyer. I'm talking about the AMX AC Mle 1946 Tier 7 French TD. And I'm playing this tank obviously to get the AMX 50 Foch 155, the Tier 10 tank destroyer in this Tech Tree branch. And to be totally honest, I don't like this tank all that much. It's okay. I've driven a lot worse tanks, but I've driven a lot better tanks as well. So let's just have a quick look at this tank in the tech tree. Yeah, it's here at tier 7. The ARL V39 leads up to it, and the next tank that you can unlock from the 46 is the AC Mle 48 at tier 8, and this tank, the ARL V39, is a really bad tank. It hasn't got a single good thing about it. Well, it's got a few good things about it, but it's all in all, it's a really bad tank. So if you get this AC Mle 46 from the V39, it's a very welcome change, because it's a lot better tank than the ARL V39 is. But it's my personal opinion. There are a lot of people that say this tank is awesome. I don't think so. I don't really like this tank, and the problem with this tank is just there are two problems more or less. The first problem is its size. It's far too big for a tier 7 tank destroyer. It's by far the biggest of the bunch. And the second problem of this tank is its aiming time. The aiming time on any of the guns is really bad, but it's really bad on the top gun, the 100mm gun. It's 2.9 seconds aiming time, and that just doesn't do at all for a tank destroyer. So that's a real problem, and that's a problem with all the French tank destroyers that have got horrible aiming times. Well, nearly all. Not all of them have got horrible aiming times, but nearly all. And especially the top tier vehicles have got really bad aiming times. Like the tier 10 tank destroyer of the French has got a 3-second aiming time. That's really bad. So yeah, when we're speaking of the stats already, let's just have a more detailed look at them. 820 hit points is kind of lowish for a tier 8 tank destroyer. Tank destroyers anyway always have pretty low amounts of hit points. Let's just quickly compare that to the Jagdpanther. Now the Jagdpanther's got 850, so that's a bit more. And most tank destroyers have got, most tier 7 tank destroyers have got hit points between 800 and 900, but 820 is at the lower end. It's a pretty heavy machine. It can weigh up to 63 tons. That's pretty heavy for a tier 7 tank destroyer. But the engine power, the engine is pretty powerful, 850 horsepower. That means that you can go at 50 kilometers an hour, which is pretty fast. Yeah, the speed is pretty good, and on a flat ground you'll usually be moving at about 40 kph, and then going downhill you can easily reach 50 kilometers an hour because your weight is pretty high, so it will accelerate very quickly going downhill. The traverse speed is quite disappointing. 26 degrees per second is kind of sluggish, especially in contrast to the pretty good speed. So that's quite a shame, and that can be a really big problem with traverse speed if you're in swampy areas, or like just areas with kind of uneven ground or going up hills, because this tank will turn really slowly in water and so on. The armor, 120mm at the front is very good. It's not very good, but it is pretty good. You can see here, this whole plate is just solid armor, and it's kind of angled a bit at the sides, and then it's all slanting downwards, like at a, I guess this is something like a 30-degree angle, or 35-degree angle. It isn't angled quite as well as the Jagdpanther's front armor, but it's still angled pretty well, and a lot of shots will ricochet. The armor is thicker than on the Jagdpanther, but as I said, it isn't angled as well. Now, there are quite a few weak spots from the front. The first obviously being the lower glacis, although the lower glacis is pretty difficult to hit because it's very small and it's angled very steeply. So except for when this tank is coming over a ridge line and you can get a very clear shot at this lower glacis, I would avoid shooting at that because it's got two weak spots that are a lot easier to hit, which would be this this machine gun turret up here and this rangefinder. They're just very easy to hit, especially if you're close up, and every shot will penetrate through these, so that's a bit of a shame if you're driving this tank. But except for these two weak spots, really, the front armor is very solid and the gun mantle is very big and very strong too, so everything will ricochet from this gun mantle, and then a lot of shots will ricochet from the front, but some will penetrate. You shouldn't rely on your armor, but it will protect you in some situations, or actually in a lot of situations. Now, obviously this is a tank destroyer, so rear and side armor are just crap, but not on all tank destroyers the rear and side armor is as crap as on this tank destroyer. It's on the sides it's the worst because it's only 40mm and it isn't angled at all. No angling going on here whatsoever. Everything can penetrate this. HE shells are going to penetrate this and just do all kinds of critical damage inside your tank. From the back it's angled a bit better, especially this whole part here. But the fighting compartment is angled a bit too, but all the same everything will penetrate rear and sides, and artillery is going to just absolutely derp your motor section back here if it gets a hit at it. So you have to be very careful, especially considering that this is a huge tank and your sides are just enormous and a huge target to hit, and everybody whom you give a chance to hit this will gratefully take it because it's just a very juicy target. So you have to be kind of careful about that, watch out. Yeah, we come to the gun. Let's have a quick look at the vehicle specific tech tree. We've got a choice of 3 guns on this tank. First of all, the 90mm whatever, just call the 90mm stock gun. The stock gun is crap. It's got 135mm of penetration potential. That's really bad. You won't penetrate anything. The aiming time is very good. 1.7 seconds is a very good aiming time. The damage is alright. It's not very good, but it's alright. But the penetration just isn't good enough at all. So just forget this gun. Anyway, you should have this gun, this 90mm DCA 45, unlocked already from the ARL V39, so you won't be playing with this gun here. This gun is a lot better, is a great upgrade to this gun, and it isn't very good on the V39, but it is pretty good on the AC Mle. It's actually, you can argue that it's the best gun to use. You can argue that it's better than this gun. Well, from the stats it isn't, but it performs better actually, I think. Let's just compare these two guns. The 100mm has got 10mm of caliber advantage over the 90mm. The rate of fire is about the same with both. The 100mm gun reloads a bit faster. The penetration is 20mm better with the 100mm gun, and the damage is 60 HP better, so that's not to be ignored. The accuracy is slightly better on the 100mm gun, but now we come to the We come to the thing that makes this gun here really bad, which is the aiming time. 2.9 seconds. Okay, it says 2.3 to 2.9 seconds. It feels like 2.9. It definitely is 2.9. It's a really horrific aiming time, and the aiming time is better on the 90mm gun. So both guns are about equally good. Judging from the stats, this one is a lot better, but the 90mm gun performs better usually in a battle, just because the aiming time is better, and even the smallest difference makes quite a difference, because tank destroyers aiming time aiming time is absolutely decisive. And with this gun, I've only had, in the whole time that I've had this tank here and played it with this gun, I've had one single game that was good. One single game. I've had a few okay games. I've had quite a few okay games actually. I've had piles of really bad games, and I've had one good game. I haven't played this tank a lot with this gun, but I've played it enough to say that they're at least as good as each other on this tank, if not this one's better. You have to decide for yourself. Just test both of them out. You should research this gun here anyway, because you'll need it on the tier 8 tank. But this gun here, don't, just try both of them out and then just decide. Yeah, so let's see. The gun traverse 26 degrees per second is kind of slow too, but gun traverse is the most important stat. Then 350 meters view range is not bad, but it's not very good, just kind of standard. And then 750 meters signal range is standard too. So much for the stats. Concerning tactics in this tank, you aren't a sniper, you aren't accurate enough. You are pretty accurate, but you shouldn't snipe really, just because your aiming time isn't good enough, and especially with this gun, sniping's a disaster. Well, both guns aren't really very good for sniping, because the 90mm gun isn't quite accurate enough for sniping, and the 100mm gun just lacks the aiming speed. So you shouldn't really be sniping with this tank. What you should do is you should kind of fight from the second line. You shouldn't, go and push the attack and fight from the first line, because you can very easily be outflanked because of your pretty bad traverse speed. And when you get outflanked, enemies will, just absolutely derp you through your sides and rear. So if you're in the first line of defense, you're doing it wrong with this tank. Second line's the place to be. After you've shot, you've got a quite long reload time, so you should try to kind of angle your armor a bit while reloading. And you shouldn't rely on camo values with this tank, because it's just huge. It's one of the biggest tier 7 tanks in the game, so relying on armor isn't very useful. Armor? No, you shouldn't be relying on camouflage. Your armor is pretty good, and it will bounce quite a few shots, especially if you angle your tank a bit, but only angle it a tiny bit, because never forget, your hull armor, not your hull armor, your side armor doesn't exist. You don't have side armor really, so be very careful about that. And you should always be ready to change flanks and so on in this tank, because it is very fast, has got enough speed to switch sides on the battlefield if it's needed somewhere else. So be prepared to do that, and then set for that, everything's actually pretty easy. Another great thing that I forgot to mention about this tank is the elevation arc angles of the gun. The gun depression is amazing. It's one of the best gun depressions that I've ever witnessed. So that's very handy when you're trying to go over hills and so on. But never forget that you're a TD. You've got a very small repertoire of hit points, and you are very bulky, and you haven't got any protection whatsoever from sides and rear. Always bear that in mind. So next we'll come to crew skills, and for crew skills I know that a lot of people, and me too, like to get camouflage for their tank destroyers, but that isn't really that good an idea for this tank, just because it's very big, it's very bulky, and the rate of fire is pretty fast, so your camo values will be wrecked anyway every 10 seconds. So then another reason is that you usually won't be sniping with this tank, but you'll be fighting out of the second row and everybody will see you anyway. So camo isn't really that important on this tank. It's important on later tanks in this line, but not on the 46 yet. So just ignore camo. I've got 6th sense of a commander, just because it's important to know if the enemies know where you are or not. Then Deadeye, because it's a TD, it's all about the gun, and Deadeye just improves the effectiveness of the gun. Smooth Right, because of a horrible aiming time, and I'm just trying to keep the, and that just keeps the aiming time down. Situational awareness, because that's situational awareness is kind of important for TDs. Even although this tank isn't a snipey tank, it's still important to be able to communicate with your teammates over long distances, so that you can see enemy tanks that are outside your view range. And then safe storage, because it's a tank destroyer, and getting ammo wrapped on a tank destroyer is first of all a pretty big problem, because your sides are made of paper, and then secondly, because if your ammo rack is wrecked in a TD, your rate of fire is just really bad. So safe storage is a very good idea for a TD. However, I think I'm going to swap all these crew skills for Brothers in Arms when they reach 100%, just because Brothers in Arms is very important on tank destroyers, and it will just help keep the aiming time down and the reload and so on. And Brothers in Arms is just a very good skill to have, or it's actually a perk. It's a good perk to have, a very good perk. So once I've got BIA on all my crew, I'm going to retrain these skills probably, and then let's see if there are any other important skills for the commander. Later on you should get camouflage probably, especially if you want to carry your crew over to other tanks in this road, in this tech tree line, especially because they camouflage on them is kind of useful. Otherwise the other skills aren't really all that important. Then for your gunner, one skill you might want to have is armorer, because your gun gets wrecked pretty often on French TDs, but it isn't that important. But armorer is probably the best of the skills left here. Then the driver should definitely get it's actually the radio operator. I missed out the drive. Well, okay, we'll leave the radio operator first then. Situational awareness never is a bad idea, but it isn't all that important on TDs really. But yeah, just get that. It's just a good skill. Then we'll do the driver now. For the driver, you should get off-road driving and clutch braking, because they just help getting a grip on this bad traverse speed. And controlled impact is a very good idea too, because these tanks, these French tank destroyers are very fast and they're very heavy too. So controlled impact just increases the efficiency of ramming, and ramming is a very good idea in these tanks usually. And then loader last of all. Let's see. Well, I've already said safe storage is very important. Adrenaline rush isn't usually, because in TDs you have got very low health to start with, and your health very seldomly drops beneath 10%. So That's done us with the crew skills. Let's talk about equipment quickly. There are 3 pieces of equipment that you definitely need on this tank destroyer. That's first of all improved ventilation, because it's a tank destroyer. You definitely need improved ventilation on tank destroyers just to keep the aiming time down, the reload, and whatever. Then you want to have the tank gun rammer. Tank gun rammers are never a bad idea, and especially on tank destroyers, they're very, very important. And then you want to definitely have the enhanced gun lane drive, just because the aiming time is very, very bad on both guns, and that will help keep that down. Maybe if you find that you've got a very big problem with artillery, because artillery really picks on this tank because it just hasn't got any armor at all on sides and rear, you could maybe get the spore liner, but I wouldn't really recommend that. You should go with ventilation, gun rammer, and the gun lane drive. Yeah, so that was more or less it for the garage for the time being. I'll show you some gameplay now. I had this game this morning when I was testing out the 90mm gun on this tank again, and it wasn't a very good game. It wasn't a necessarily bad game either, but it wasn't very good. So I don't realize, I don't notice that Panther 2 there. So I take a shot from him, but see, he hit just that weak spot there, that rangefinder. So as you can see, everybody's aiming for those weak spots. Everybody knows that they're there. Everybody knows where to shoot these tanks. So there's other AC Mle 46 there, and I tried to get a shot at him, but I can't hit him. So I go for the Panther and I ricochet off him. He gets another shot into me. That's a bit of a shame. He goes right through my gun mantle. That's a bit of a shame, yeah. But therefore I kill an IS. He was at quite a distance, so that was kind of more or less lucky. This gun isn't horribly inaccurate, but then again it isn't super accurate either. Now there's this T26E for super Pershing there. He's helping me, and he's driving forwards to get into a kind of a duel with that Panther 2, which will give me the opportunity to attack that Panther 2 from the side. Yeah, as you can see, the Panther 2 is facing away from me, so I take a shot, and I don't know why I didn't hit him there, but I didn't. So I retreat to reload. I've reloaded and come out again, and now he's facing my way. Well, his turret isn't, but his hull is. So I penetrate him at his turret, and now I'm aiming for that AC Mle 46, but as you can see, this gun just isn't very accurate, and I don't hit him. But my second shot does, and I kill him, and the damage is pretty good on this gun here. It isn't great, but it is alright, and the great thing about this gun is the penetration. The penetration is quite good too. It isn't as good as on the 100mm gun, but it is very, very high. So there's that KV3 there, but I don't really want to pop around that corner because I've only got 70 HP left, so I just wait here till the and hope that he comes round the corner so that I can shoot him, but the IS-3 kills him before. So there's only 3 arties left in the enemy team, Jagdpanther 8.8 and a T-34. The T-34 seems to be a pretty good player. He's got 4 kills already. But now the arty slaughter begins, and I'm the fastest tank of us 3 here. So that means I think I've got a very good chance to kill at least 1 artillery. T26 Super Pershing is a bit ahead of me, but he's a really, really sluggish tank, so I can easily overtake him. I'm a bit afraid of a close combat situation with artillery though, because of my very, very bad side armor. And there's the first artillery. I spot it, or perhaps Super Pershing does, I'm not sure. I missed my first shot, it was on the move, and the artillery gets a shot into the Lorraine, and then the Super Pershing finishes him off. So there's only an SU 8 and a Jagdpanther left for artillery in the enemy team, and this looks like a pretty tight game. We've got one tank more in our team, but I've only got 70 HP left, so I don't really count, or I only count as half a tank. So I'm looking for the other artillery now, but I'm a bit afraid of meeting the Jagdtiger 8.8 somewhere in the city, because he isn't a very good tank, but he's kind of a bit better than me, and I've only got 70 HP left. So that wouldn't be a very nice situation. One artillery and the T-34 are both at our spawn point, so I reckon the SU-8 and the Jagdtiger must be hanging out in the city here. And I try to play safe and go round the back right here, and then I spot the Jagdtiger there, and he doesn't see me, so I decide to take a shot at him and do 230 HP damage. But now he realizes that I'm there and he turns around, but I'm not quite sure if he turns around because I can't see through these houses, so I just wait here. But I'm pretty sure that he's gonna come, and he's got a pretty bad gun, so I just hope that he's gonna ricochet. And I ricochet, he ricochets, so that's yeah, he hit me there on the side of the gun mantle, so that obviously ricocheted, and I nearly got a shot into his lower glacis, but then I missed. So we won this game because obviously there's an IS-3 and a Super Pershing against a Jagdtiger 8.8 with only 166 HP left. So we won, and it wasn't a very good game, as I said. It was okay, you know, nothing special. So this game is on Westfield, and it's a tier 7 match, so that's pretty good matchmaking. And another thing that I've got to say is that this tank doesn't tend to get very good matchmaking. You usually get into tier 8 matches, and not seldomly even into tier 9 matches, so the matchmaking is very unforgiving in this tank. Now what I do here is I get behind these bushes and make sure that I'm hidden completely, which I am, and now I'm going to try to support my teammates that are going for this ridgeline right here. I usually head to this end of the map in my TDs because it's just kind of the best place to go, I think. I get a very lucky kill into that T50, T50-2. Because yeah, I wasn't aimed completely, actually didn't aim at all, I just, you know, took a pot shot and I hit, so that was just kind of pure luck really. But kill is kill, so now there isn't anything to shoot for me there, so I decide to head through this ridgeline here and support my teammates in the city because they are losing at the moment. I get a shot into the KV-1S and I see that he's got the kind of the stock gun or the bad gun, so I don't think he's much of a threat, but all the same he penetrates me. I can't see where he penetrated me, but he did, so I revenge myself. I pay him back for that one, and there are still quite a lot of enemies left in that city, so that AMX M445 is having quite a bad day today. Yeah, he's down now, so it's actually only me left defending the city. And there are 3 KV-1Ss, that's quite a party, and a Jagdpanther, and of course the Jagdpanther is the first one to stick his nose out. I get a nice shot into his side, and I don't know if he can see me or not. He should be able to see me, but he isn't shooting at me. But the KV-1S is aiming at me, I think, so I retreat to reload, and because the Jagdpanther is in cover, I go for the KV-1S, but then he drives out of cover and I get him. Oh, that was a very stupid player there. I don't know what he was thinking of. Perhaps he was AFK and just went on to RRR, you know, to just keep his tank moving forwards, and then you know, just did something else on the internet or something like that. Well, just right here you can see the very good gun depression on this tank. I'm able to kill that KV-1S, secure my 4th kill, and you know, just only reveal half of my hull. So I've got the situation in that city under control now, and there's a Churchill 7 helping me out. There's only that KV-1S left now, or actually there are 2 KV-1Ss left. That shot went wild because I just didn't bother to scope. So I learned, and I'm scoping now, but of course now the KV-1S has learned too and isn't showing himself anymore. So the Churchill 7 is going in, and I don't want to let him get the kill, so I'm gonna go in too. No sign of the KV-1S, so yeah, I decide to drive soon. I'm always getting ahead of myself in these replays. Okay, I actually decide that the KV-1S is done for anyway, so I actually go for KV-3. And there's a Jagdpanther left there. Oh no! He tracks me just when I shoot, so my shot misses, and now there's that Churchill 7 shooting at me. I repair my track, but I've only got 81 HP left. And then that IS, I realise that IS is there, and I try to run away, but I just aren't fast enough. I'm going up a hill, and he gets a shot into me. So the IS killed me. This was the best game I had in the AC Mle 46 ever. It wasn't an outstanding game. It was a good game. I grant myself that. But you know, it's a bit disappointing if you only have one game like this in the whole time you play this tank. And yeah, so that was quite, and that was, yeah, I was very happy that I at least had this one game, you know, because I had it. I had this game, I think, yesterday evening or day before yesterday, so I was glad that I got at least one good game in that I could show you. But you know, don't think that this is my average game in this tank. I usually don't get a kill at all in my games with the AC Mle, or at the maximum 2 kills. So don't think that I'm running around the battlefield in this tank, you know, just getting 5 kills every game. It isn't like that. So for a conclusion, let's go back to the garage. So as you probably have guessed from the review so far, my summary to this tank won't be all that positive, and yeah, I must admit I don't really like this tank. I don't know why I don't like it. It might be because I had very high expectations towards this tank, you know, because of looking at the stats and so on, and I must say I'm really looking forward to getting the AC Mle 48. I hope that it isn't going to be as big a letdown as this tank here was. Because, well, it isn't a bad tank, don't get me wrong, but I just don't like it. I'm not very good in playing this tank, and I'm just really looking forward to getting rid of it and getting the 48. But I know that a lot of people have really good games in this tank, and perhaps you are one of them, so you know, don't let yourself be put off this tank by this review, because, you know, just because I kind of suck in this tank, because maybe you're very good in this tank, and it isn't a bad tank, it is kind of a good tank really, but I just can't get any good games in this tank, and I'm really sorry to say it, but, well, I've said it very often now, but I just don't like it, so it gets a thumbs down from me. But you know, there are worse tanks in the game, and it's definitely worthwhile to get this tank, to play this tank, because after that you get this tank, and after that you get the 50 Foch, and then you get the Foch 155, and that's just such an amazing tank. I love this tank. Played it on the test server a lot, and I really love it. So yeah, I'm not gonna stop going up this tech tree, and if you look at it, I'm only missing 6,700 HP to the 48 now, so I'll survive, you know. And as I said, it isn't necessarily a very bad tank, but it's something with it that just doesn't work out, and I just didn't have a lot of fun with it. So yeah, I hope I could give you some good advice, and you know, and just as I said, don't let yourself be put off by this negative review of this tank, because you know, it might just be a personal problem of mine, and I know that a lot of people really like this tank. So as usual, thanks for watching a lot, and I hope I'll see you next time. Bye bye.